my education years, I actually did not enroll in college, but I was fortunate to, right after high school, go into a biological research laboratory where I spent the next 4 years working in molecular cellular biology. Left there to pursue 30 years as a professional musician, traveling around the world, learning about Pan-Africanism from the lyrics of Bob Marley and David Hines of Steel Pulse and many other reggae artists who I had the wonderful privilege to travel with and perform with and record with, some of the major reggae artists of the generation. I then started writing again. I had written in the 1970s musical reviews and other type of cultural reviews. So I started writing again, more about culture and consciousness, publishing a series of now 40 books, the first of which came out in about 1992, 1993. I wrote an 18-book series called The Conscious Rasta Report, which really kind of put me on the global map. And after the 18th book, which was entitled The Road to Power, 7 Steps to an African Global Order, I changed my direction, stopped writing about conspiracies and machinations against us. And I focused from that point on only on empowerment books. So I've written now 8 books in the series called Living Superfood. Food is nature's most perfect medicine. I am an award-winning raw vegan chef. And so medicine has never tasted like this before. And now I'm just publishing what will be my 12th book on Pan-African sustainable development. So we focus on not only economics, but I am a master horticulturalist. My book, The Blackest Soil, Africa Can Feed the World, has become paramount and is being read now in about 6 countries. In almost every country where people start reading the book, I get a phone call or a message saying, we want you to come and participate with us. So we do now have grants of land, and my corporation, the African Future Inc., is purchasing 1,040 acres in Western Uganda. So that's just a brief. I could go on. Hopefully during the Q&A part of our discussion, you will let me know which part of my own experience actually serves your forward pathway the best. And last point I must say, I am one of a very rare few people of African heritage on this planet who is actually officially designated a scientific futurist. It's a set of 15 science-based disciplines, all aimed toward giving us the ability to develop pathways by which we traverse an empowered Pan-African future.
Wow, that's a heavy background. Before I go on into what you're doing in Africa, I'll talk a little bit about the LIB radio and just your a little bit into that as well, real quick.
I'm really proud to have been one of the pioneers, especially among African people, but among all people, of what are called OTT media, over-the-top technology, meaning built on the internet. So in 2003, we were actually the second Black-owned, non-religious internet radio station to launch, LIB Radio. After Blake Radio, my brother Neil Blake out of New York launched the first, and I always give props to those who were the antecedents as we stand on their shoulders. We rapidly shot up to become the most popular Black internet radio in the world. And this is, of course, before Blog Talk and so many other channels opened up, and now it's all flooded with 500,000 or more Black-owned channels, many of which have 2 or 3 listeners per program. And I was proud to have been the first Black-launched internet television television station as well. I have helped about 15 other stations get started around the world, and very proud right now that I'm a regular correspondent, weekly correspondent on Record TV out of Kampala, Uganda, as their Pan-African ambassador of the Pan-African Movement Uganda, which has its weekly program called the Pan-African Debate. Hopefully I will interest all of you into taking a look at the Pan-African Debate. But really, I hope, if there's nothing else in this conversation, to inform, to inspire, and to excite all of us to become functional, practical Pan-Africans, boots on the ground in many different nations, and actually transferring technology, transferring our skills and resources, and ultimately, yes, transferring our bodies, transferring our bodies and our children to the mother continent. So we build the future that our great ancestors always, always said would be coming and that would astonish the world.
Mm. Now, before I get into what you're doing in Africa, I just got to ask you, man, because I went onto your website and man, you had my ribs touching with that phenomenal food and stuff like that. Just talk about your history with the cooking and all of that, because I think you kind of help people start to eat natural too, correct?
Well, I not only help them start to eat natural, I'm actually functionally a clinical nutritionist. So people who have diagnosis, and we understand in America, 63% of American adults over the age of 20 are on prescription drugs. So when the CDC says the American population is healthy, that only 13% of the population is unhealthy, well, that just doesn't coincide. So not only is the food absolutely delicious, I'm talking about really spectacular, because it's all about the spicing. And as African people, we know how to jump elbow deep into spices. You know what I'm saying? But the food is actually clinical. I've come up with formulas such as we have one called the Vortex, which I state, and I'll back it up to any challenge. The Vortex, with only 3 ingredients, is an absolute prophylactic against what they're calling the COVID-19 virus. And so I made a vow in July 2019, that I was going to go through this entire decade of the 2020s without getting ill one time, not getting sick one time, the whole decade. And so COVID comes along another 6 months later and says, we're going to challenge you on that. Well, I'm sticking to my vow.
That's awesome. So let's get into Africa, because I've been hearing a lot, and a couple of our members, we've had side conversations about, trying to invest back into the motherland. Our president general has a program where he's trying to start a farm and do some stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But you struck my mind. I just wanted to let the members talk about it, about how what you're doing in Africa, how'd you purchase this land, and how you're trying to purchase it, and everything like that. If you could just go into that for me.
Okay. Well, for many, many years, I've been writing about Africa. One of the many books, and this is recently re-updated and expanded, is called Africa Rising. Dawn is breaking over Africa. And we list in here a long, long spectrum of phenomena. And this is one of 11 books on Pan-African sustainable development I've written. Another very important book is this one called Futurenomics, Positioning Your Enterprise to Succeed in the New Global Economy. And for people of African entrepreneurs of African heritage in the United States or any other diaspora country, there's just no way in the world we're going to be able to compete globally unless and until we bind our pathway forward to the mother continent, as well as insert ourselves in key points. The book, The Blackest Soil, Africa Can Feed the World. I think most of us in this circle are familiar with this statement. Africa can feed the world. Am I correct? Well, when asked that question, when someone says, yeah, I've heard that, I say, well, how many people can Africa feed? Let's get real specific now. Africa can feed the world, we'll agree. How many people can Africa feed? So I put together all of the data to be able to confirm this statement. The data doesn't suggest, the data says Africa has a total of 2,160,000,000 arable acres of land. That's 874 million hectares of land. Africa, and in an idealized situation, growing organic with a high value input of labor, low cost, high value labor input, and with high value marketing of the goods in the global environment, Africa has the potential to feed at 6 people per arable acre, and has plenty of land, a total of 12.9 billion people. A daily diet of 2,000 calories of mostly organic food. That's my formula. I put the formula in the book so you can verify it using the same data inputs. There's currently only 7.8 billion people on the planet. So therefore, at the planet's maximum expansion of human beings, Africa could feed everyone on the planet after feeding ourselves first. And furthermore, our strategic plan for the African future incorporated is that I believe that by the end of this decade, at least by 2050, Africa will be the world's leading food exporter. That's actually taking place right now. The problem is that people from India, from China, South Korea, the Arab countries, people from Europe, people from Brazil are all coming in to carve out pieces of the African land to grow the food on. We aim to grow the food. And in countries like Uganda and many others, where as many as 72 to 80% of the population exists in subsistence agriculture, which is labor intensive, very low compensation, and really just locks them into a poverty cycle that's crippling. Well, we aim to come in with a strategic plan to convert subsistence agricultural farmers into remote located, not only farming, but using more technology, much higher yield per acre, farming high value crops, especially organic crops, as well as local processing, which means we even got to bring in electricity with renewable energy microgrids so that they can set up factories in these remote locations. There are many, many factors that are leading us all this way. We do not have time to hesitate. We do not have time to sit around and lament about the Indians are coming, the Chinese are coming, the Arabs are coming, the Koreans are coming, the Malaysians are coming, the Singapores. Yeah, they all are coming. They've been coming for Africa for over 500 years, over 2,000 years, over 2,700 years. They have been coming for Africa. We as African people in the diaspora, specifically this beloved creature called the Afri-Amer, once we stand out, realize who we are, what potential we have. Adam Clayton Powell asked us, what's in your hands? Now we're taking assessment of what is our hands. Booker T. Washington said, cast down your bucket where you are and begin to build. Where we're building on this side of the waters so we can transfer our expertise, our resources, our momentum across the waters, build bridges, and now we're highly functioning in both locations. And Marcus Garvey says, be proud of your history, as our ancestors were in the days of yore. You have a proud history, and you will create another in the future that will astonish the world. This is the future that they all pointed to. And I suggest that a group, even as small as this, 10, 12 people, it doesn't matter how many of us. What matters is our strategic plan and how much energy and commitment we give to that strategic plan. Last point, Malcolm X said that it's something similar, and I write this quite frequently. The future belongs to those best prepared to create that future today. That's why we're in this conversation.
Awesome, awesome. I wanted to have a second president, second vice president come in and talk, because he was very interested and has some questions as well. But before I bring him in, I wanted to just talk about the opportunity that you have created for some people or person or a group of people to get together and try to invest in the land, and talk about the story about how you purchased it or how you able to get it. I think you said something that's very important to me, that the Chinese, I believe, had the land at first.
Well, this land that we're purchasing actually is belonged to an African consortium, Ugandans. And my business partner, who's been on the radio station for about 10 years, Anka Ku, he was based in Atlanta, Osat City, as we call it around here. He actually married into a family, and his mother-in-law is part of a consortium that had some 30,000 acres of farmland. And they wanted to convert some of the farmland to cash. They came to us with this offer about 3 or 4 years ago, but we kind of didn't really take it as seriously as we should have. And they were offering 1,000 acres at $600 an acre. Well, about 3 years later, they get an offer from an Indian-based group that says, we have the cash, we want to come in, we want to assume that land and develop it for agriculture. But COVID comes along and the Indian group freezes. They say, well, we're not traveling to Africa, we're not traveling overseas. They just froze. And so meanwhile, while they froze, the original offer came back to us, but this time it wasn't $600 an acre, it was $1,200 an acre. The land had doubled in value in just 3 years. Now think about that. We could have gotten a chance to get in on a large parcel of land that would double in value in 3 years. And it's getting even wilder now as Ugandan land, like Ghanaian land, like Nigerian land, is starting to go on the international market. It's going at a pretty, rising at a very stiff rate. So we went back and we revisited and we said, okay, let us build a team. So Brother Ankh and I started building a team. Of course, his mother-in-law, the seller of the land, is on the team. She's the president of our corporation. We brought in a financial specialist, an investor from London. And then I brought in someone who I've been working with for over 10 years, who is an international development specialist and a real estate developer in multiple countries, including Haiti and Los Angeles, Kenya, and other places. And so we've got this team now we call the African Future Incorporated. Right now, we are on the first stage of 3 levels of financing. Ultimately, our goal is to put together $2 million to secure this particular parcel. But what has happened, though, the book that has excited this movement, because as fate had it, Ankh, my business partner, and his mother-in-law were both reading the book, The Blackest Soil, Africa Can Feed the World, at the same time. And they just kind of stumbled through the house and word came up, I'm reading this book, is really excited. And she said, I'm reading the same book. And the book has been that. Not everyone, so many people that are reading The Blackest Soil. I get calls from Nigeria. They say, we have 500 acres of land. We want to work with you. We want to build this plan. I get a call from Democratic Republic of the Congo. The amount of land that they have, it's in the Kasai Oriental province, is really almost unlimited. They have over 1,900 square kilometers of territory, the Luba people that they want to ultimately engage. We're getting calls from around Africa, including one of the most exciting offers, 300 acres of land on the White Nile River in the place called Rwenzori. This is the place where the original origin story of humankind begins, the valley of the mountain of the moons where the great god Hapi doth dwell. We are now planning to build a large wellness city there in the valley of the mountain of the moons. When you see it, it looks like the origin of human life on this planet. It really, literally looks like the Garden of Eden. And one of the things we're going to do, and we're using these as opportunities to bring together a global investment group. We are planning what we're calling the reunion to take place at the White Nile River water source in Jinja, Uganda, and that's going to take place in 2024. We want this to be one of the largest gatherings of Pan-African people returning to the mother continent that has ever occurred. And we have a pretty good team putting that plan together.
Brother Frank.
Hey, peace, brother. This sounds like a great plan. I guess one of my questions is, how are you looking to do, I guess, crowdfunding, or looking for investors? Or are you looking for small groups, or is this open to large numbers of people?
For the first round of investors, we're asking people to come in at about a $5,000 to $15,000 level. Now, these are from a class of what you call registered or certified investors. Right. Certified investors are groups of people who do investing, and they are not taken back by the chance that they may lose $5,000, $10,000, or $15,000. Now, we think we have a pretty good plan by which, even if we don't fulfill our goals, you're not going to lose, because the very same offer for us to purchase the land then goes to those people who got in on their first rounds of investment. And if the land is doubling in value every 3 years, obviously it would be an incredible deal for people to get access to this land. The land's really quite spectacular. It's in the region of Lake Albert in western Uganda, real close to the Congo border, which is very important too. I hope all of you saw that announcement on March 2nd of the villagers discovering a mountain of gold in the Democratic Republic of the Congo in the South Kivu province. It took me 2 days, but I verified, yes, that story was true. And it's an amazing set of developments that now can take place, for which we as African people can get in. We don't have to wait for the Chinese, for anyone else, the British, whatever, to come in and assume control over that gold getting into the world market. We can get in get in early and get in deep. But as you can understand and imagine, there's no time for hesitation. So what we're looking for right now in round one, we're not going for the investors that only are able to put in $30, $60, $90 for a share, 1, 2, 3 shares. At this particular point, we're looking in for people who come in big with the expectation they will have a large return on investment in a short period of time. The offer we're putting on the table is that the people who come in now in the first level that will get us on the ground with a feasibility study will be expecting to receive a 50% return on investment at the end of 1 year. And then they will also be encouraged to let that investment roll over as we build a much, much larger operation. Ultimately, our aim with this first 1,040 acre purchase is to control 1 million acres of African farmland. Again, Africa has 2,160,000,000 arable acres of land. So our ambition to have 1 million under our company's control is not out of line. 2 more points I got to make this very important. In 2013, the stories started coming out. By 2015, it was predicted that by the year 2030, African agriculture would expand from $337 billion a year in value to $1 trillion at the end of this 15-year period. So the first question that arose for that, and I've asked this question 1,000 times, if you knew 15 years in advance where $600 billion a year in new economic activity was going to be flowing through, how much of that $600 billion a year would your plan capture? Capturing 10 billion of $600 billion a year is not unreasonable at all. Second point, the president of the African Development Bank, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, made the statement, and he's absolutely true. The next generation of millionaires and billionaires in Africa will be farmers. We're going to be farmers. Now, I've been a farmer now for 40 years, so I'm actually pretty good at it.
Okay, and my other question is, because I was working with a guy from Nigeria, and we were working on a big business plan to start a farm and develop similar to what you're speaking of. And I guess the question for me is, how does someone from the States secure or protect that type of investment on that scale of getting that amount of land? How do we protect our investment? So who's over there? Who's doing the groundwork?
Our strategic plan is, one, incorporating the group as an African company. 2, to have the percentage of ownership 49% on this side, 51% for our indigenous people. So therefore, in the long run, unlike the Chinese, unlike the Indians, unlike the British and so many others, our aim is to use these investments to build Africa up to its greatest potential. Yes, as you know, just the Congo alone, estimated to have some $23 trillion of untapped resources, and that doesn't even include the human resources. So in protecting our investment, our best bet would be to do it right. Do it so that it really truly benefits the young people, benefits the women, benefits the small and medium-sized enterprises. That makes the investment and our activities so absolutely tantalizing that every country we go in, we're welcomed with open arms. I myself have picked Uganda, even though I've got a lot of work already done in places like Rwanda and Ghana over the years, and Zimbabwe. But I really think Uganda is an incredible bet, especially seeing that Uganda is part of the East African community, which includes Tanzania, Kenya, Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda, South Sudan, ultimately is expanding to include Somalia once the security situation stabilizes. And in June 2019, The Democratic Republic of the Congo petitioned the East African community to be allowed into the community towards the aim of federation, which is actually supposed to be being put into place right now. So how do we protect it? Ultimately, we protect it by getting in to win, getting in to win all the way. I have made mistakes in my life. I've made investments that were risky and that I've lost at. But I do know one thing. I've won enough times that lets me know when you see opportunity like these, you gotta get in early, and you gotta get in deep. Even if you lose, that philosophy is still gonna carry you forward.
Okay, good point.
Brother Awadu, I have a question. Well, a couple questions. I know a few accredited investors, and I guess my question is, where would they go? Where would I send them to get an idea or get a look at the prospectus that they're presenting? And, you know, in a nutshell, of course, that would be detailed. This next question would answer that, but what would $5,000, what percentage of share would $5,000 investment bring?
We're not giving away shares of the company at
Okay.
this particular point. The 5,000 is essentially a loan. What we are saying is that the loan is going to give a 50% ROI at the end of 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
And what we are saying is that everyone who comes in early, when we start selling the shares of the African Future Incorporated, we are going to give you the first chance to get what shares we do offer of the company. So, and you talked about accredited investors. I'm glad. Thank you for mentioning that, because my terminology in the investment world is not quite as mature as my terminology in the kitchen. But it's a great question. What we have to do is we have to get moving. We've entertained this now for over a year. We've had a lot of people come into the conversation, and some of the people in the group get a little annoyed, and I'm not necessarily saying I'm the one, but they get a little annoyed because people will ask questions that show that they don't really have this type of accredited investor experience. But I'm convinced there's a place for everybody, whether it's in round 1, round 2, or round 3, because the bottom line is, we're saying that our program is to benefit, to uplift all of the African nations, all of the people across Africa. One of the things I love about Uganda, it's the second youngest nation on the planet. So almost everything we do goes directly into building up these youth to become the generation to recapture Africa's complete and total destiny. So, I mean, it is a great question. Ultimately, we're having a second conference coming up, and I believe it is this coming Saturday or Sunday. And if you get in contact with me, I'll make sure Everett has my contact information. In fact, I'll put my email up in the chat here shortly. If you get in contact with me, we can have a side conversation, and then you will be invited to this invitation-only meeting that we're having this coming weekend. We did have one 3-4 weeks ago in Kennesaw, Georgia, a suburb of Atlanta, and it was spectacular. But then again, we didn't have but 1/3 of the people expected to showed up. We had probably one of the biggest return on investments from a group of people who said, yeah, I'm in, I'm down. I had a phenomenal PowerPoint presentation that I put together. Our executive team addressed the crowd, and most of the people said, yeah, this is the real deal. And we have a few people who have committed. They put the money into the accounts, but we have to hit a certain level before we can go ahead and fire off. Really, that level is about $50,000. We'll send our initial team to Uganda and engage the feasibility studies. But there's an entire food value chain that's got to be put together. Mm-hmm. Everywhere from the agricultural inputs to, of course, the labor inputs. Acquiring the land is just one thing, but there are 9 other points of the food production value chain. I wrote about this in the book, The Blackest Soil, Africa Can Feed the World. I'm hoping I can convince everyone in this circle to get the book, read the book. I think you will find it informative, inspiring, and exciting.
Right. Well, my second question, and then I'll, other folks can jump in. Are your books audio books? Do you have them in audio format? Because if you have them in that format, I will definitely, pick them up and, absorb that information like tonight.
Yeah. Well, all of my books we do book study on Mondays on LIB Radio.
Okay.
So right now I'm doing the third time I've done this. We actually study the book as I'm writing the book. My next book is called Paradigm Shift, the new next economic pathway for Afro-American development. And my last book, called Fade to Black, The Passing of a Great Race, was so dismal in its outlook for Black people in America. I mean, it was really, really dismal. And it was data loaded that I had to write another book and say, okay, don't give up on them. Give them one more chance. But I've been writing these books for many, many years. And all of my book titles have a series of radio programs committed to the books. And so those are available at significant discount as well. I have about 25, maybe 26 books. I just put up another one 2 days ago on Amazon.com, and people can get access to them there as well. People have asked me over the years to do audio books. I say, well, I do the radio station. The audio book is in the radio station. For me to do an audio book is a lot of time, a lot of investment, and based upon my past experience, a very low return. I don't have that type of time to read an entire book, edit it, and put it out as an audio book. Especially when I do the radio, I have 6,000 radio programs in my archives, over 1,300 of which are on YouTube.
Okay.
So that's my answer to audiobooks.
Right.
I know a lot of people want them as a convenience, but I'm kind of old school. But again, the radio station does the exact same thing.
Okay. All right.
Anybody got any questions? Frank, was you done? Go ahead, Chief Elder.
Good evening, everybody in their rightful places. It is good to be tuned in and chimed in. My brother Keidi, what's going on, brother?
We black and we shine. Greetings to you, to see you in the circle, my brother.
Hey, the ancestor wouldn't allow me to miss this one, And I appreciate everybody that's on the panel. I definitely appreciate and honor Brother Keidi. Brother, for over 6 years, I've known you.
That's right.
And you never skipped a beat.
We multiply.
That's right. I say. So I definitely give you the highest honor and praise. Coming from the Gullah Geechee village here in Georgetown. I was just installed Saturday as the Angola chief elder as well. So I am over 3 villages now as chief elder. And you mentioned Uganda. There's a part in I can't pronounce it, but it's Kibaale district. That's where I am also the chief minister as well as of 8 months ago. Okay. And so I see how we on a national platform coming together with some good solutions. And Brother Keidi, the book that I have, The Repairing, is like my Bible. And I suggest anybody else that's on the panel to purchase that book, The Repairing. And he has many, many more. But this one, I love it. You know what I'm saying? I take notes on it as well. And I'm planning on in the future to make sure that every book that he has is in my library. That's right. I appreciate that. Your library is going to be growing fast because I got like 3 new books coming out. Yes. And so we got to keep in better contact with each other. That's right. That's right. I'm still waiting for my invitation to come over there to Gullah Geechee land. I don't know if we talked about it, but we have a plan to recapture
that land and not let it go. I think it's a great plan. I don't know if have we talked about the Gullah Geechee mini TV series?
No, we haven't spoke of that yet.
Okay.
But
All right. Well, let me hold my tongue in case you want to run with it before I get there. But hey, that's okay. Run with it. I got ideas for days.
Well, see, Queen Quet, which is the chiefest over the Gullah Geechee Nation, that stems from Wilmington, North Carolina, all the way up to Jacksonville, Florida, now is coming to find out what new development just recently in the last month with the Angula tribe. That territory stretches all the way up to Miami, Florida, and swings around New Mexico. So all that territory originally is Angola Gullah Geechee land and territory that some of it was taken from our ancestors, but there's a reclaiming and a reconnection that is brewing, and I am definitely at the forefront to make sure that this is successful. Within 1 year from last week, all territories is going to be returned back to my people. Back to my people. And those that have property that was built on it, they will be leasing or renting them as the documents is coming in. So definitely to my Angula people, my Gullah Geechee people, my RGB people, my Black Power people up under the Marcus Garvey movement, and CBMP, keep pushing forward. Keep pushing forward. We do not have to think about taking arms. And I'm going to conclude with this because I can be long-winded.
No, you can't be long-winded. I'm the guest tonight.
Yes.
Neither one of us long-winded tonight.
So I will keep this short. I just had to put this out there in the cosmos as the ancestor give it to me.
I say.
As Chief
again,
Elder.
I look forward to hearing from you. I understand it's a complex issue. I've been working strategically. I met Queen Quet about 7 years ago, trying to do the best I can to get this land back under our control. As you know, African people in the United States 100 years ago controlled some 19 million acres worth of land, most of it farmland. Well, today that is 2.5 million acres of land, and we're still losing it at the rate of some up to 50,000 acres per month.
Yes.
So we're going to have to take this very, very seriously. I would be very interested in looking at your strategic plan. But as you know by the book, The Repairing, we've just lost too much. And
yeah,
right. Risk not having the right plans to secure that which we need to give to our children to empower them.
Well, if I may say it, then I yield the rest of my time. Everything and anything that was taken from my people, our people, is going to be restored and replaced. We do not have to take up arms. All we had to do is use our consciousness, our mindset, and meditate it and make sure that it comes in our reality. Because, see, we ain't going to follow a fool. You see what I'm saying? We don't, and I'm saying this specifically to my RGB and my Black Power People movement. We don't have to take up arms.
Okay, now you're repeating yourself. We don't have time to do that today. Excuse me for kind of being a bully, but I'm finding doing this more and more because I got really limited time now for these.
Yeah, well, I yield the rest of my time. I think my message is clear.
That's respect, Chief Elder. Hey, we've been looking for you too, Chief Elder, but I'll get to you before the meeting ends.
Okay, great. I be standing by.
All right. Anybody else have any questions before we let our guests go? And make sure we go ahead. Brother Bruce and Brother Frank, jump back in if you wasn't finished. Go ahead, Brother Bruce.
How you doing today, sir? I had a question. How do you plan on moving all of the food out? Are you planning on shipping it out to other countries? Are you gonna have a trucking industry? How are you gonna move the product?
It's complex. We will, of course, we'll have to tap into massive, already existing import-export infrastructure. This is, again, what we're talking about, the entire food value chain, from the inputs such as fertilizers and seeds and other type of inputs to aggregation of the crops, storage, etc. You may have seen the story recently where Kenya rejected 150 truckloads of maize from Uganda because they believe it was contaminated with unusual amounts of aflatoxin. Well, we can't afford to risk that. And so therefore, with the new African Continental Free Trade Agreement, a significant amount of the produce coming from our operations will be aimed at feeding African people. African food self-sufficiency is a highest priority of a number of different infrastructures, agreements, and national plans across the continent. This is a significant strategic plan of the AU's Agenda 2063. African food self-sufficiency, and a number of other goals centered around agriculture, food sustenance, and the raising of living standards for subsistence farmers. So that's part of it. A lot of my strategies also deal with local processing of the foodstuffs. According to research I published in the book Futurenomics, at that time, this is probably 3 years ago, it came out in 2018, 50%, no, not 50%, 30% of African agricultural products spoiled before getting to market. Much of that due to incomplete infrastructure. The roads are not so great. Rainy weather can knock out the roads during the worst times of year, especially harvest times, and a number of things. My book said that if we could come up with the planning through cold storage, upgrading of the roads, more trucks hauling crops, etc., and local processing, we could cut that by 50%. And it was at, did I say 50 billion? No, it was 30%, $100 billion a year lost to spoilage. If we could cut that by 50%, we're talking about $50 billion more dollars in capital that's now circulating through the economy, lifting everyone else up and not being thrown into the woods so it could rot and then just become compost for the next generation. So we have a number of different plans. Another thing that we're really planning on doing, and this is in the, I have a brochure that I put together for our investors. And in the brochure, we're talking about growing high value crops. One of the reasons we like Uganda, because it's a young population, a lot of labor. And when we're talking about growing organic, Uganda has the second highest number of registered organic farmers of any nation in the world after India. Most people don't think of Uganda and Tanzania having more organic farmers than the United States or Canada, but it is true. So what we're talking about is growing high value foods, organic, a lot of tropical fruits, fruit juices, and these other type of things can be locally processed, dehydrated, juiced, pasteurized, shipped. And of course, one of the biggest markets for this food for African imports right now is the European Union. But when we see nations like China, the Arab Emirates, India, South Korea, Malaysia, Singapore, and others coming in now to lease large tracts of African land to grow food to feed their people, then we know that we just got to cut them out of the deal. We'll grow the food and we'll export the food to feed your people.
Hey, thank you, brother.
It's a good question.
Anybody have any other questions before we let a guest go? And we can forward everybody to contact information. If you know an investor, if you're interested in investing or getting a group of people to jump in and invest. Anybody have any questions on anything, the radio, the food, anything before we close, let our speaker go?
Yeah, I was listening to one of his radio podcasts on YouTube today. Matter of fact, something about the downward spiral of a civilization. I can't remember. I think it was I'd have to go back and look at it, but I was listening to most of it. It was a young brother. He had written some type of economic plan. I didn't get all the way finished. He had done some type of economic plan was like maybe different steps of an economic plan for
Was
Black
that the
people.
GOAT, the great, the gospel of Afro economic theory or Afro economic
might
theory,
be.
something like that?
It might be.
Yeah, that was Brother Minister Zumbi. Yeah, this is his first book out. He had been a broadcaster on LIB Radio for a long time. And I'm really proud to work with young authors and help them get their books out. Older authors who want to be young authors, we appreciate getting them out. I'm so proud we're building a global team. What I've been able to accomplish in Uganda, I'm tapped into the TV station now, and it's almost as if we step from the future when we integrate ourselves into developmental policies on the mother continent, and that we have the power to engage young people, again, to inspire them, inform them, and excite them to their greatest potential. Working in the second youngest nation in the world is quite an awesome experience. I look forward to touching down in Uganda sometime within the next 6 weeks, getting on the ground and getting the next parts of our strategic plan into place. But yeah, this is why you tune into LIB Radio. We don't waste your time grumbling about lamentation,
Right.
talking about the police killing of the day, because that's
Exactly.
going to keep happening. And the opposition is going to keep pushing those things into our face to keep us distracted from what may be the most robust development story to take place on this planet for 2,800 years. We call it Africa Rising. And I'm always amazed at the number of people who have never heard those two words used. Even though you search for those two words together, you're going to find them everywhere, on college campuses, on magazine covers, in international conferences. Africa Rising is the tide that floats and sails our boats to their destination.
Thank you, sir.
Great questions. I'm loving it. I can answer questions like this for 4 days in a row and only just have to drink water.
So I do have one last question. I know we have our members meeting tonight, so we want to get into that next. But my question, I guess, kind of as a segue and an outro would be, you've done a lot of studies on Pan-Africanism. Is there concise definition that you can give us for Pan-Africanism so we can tell someone who doesn't know what it is in a short, to the point type of way?
There are many faces of Pan-Africanism. There's the ideological Pan-Africanism, which has gone a long way to motivate some highly inspired, highly competent people into action. Pan-Africanism, the conference that took place in 1945 in London, inspired the anti-colonial movement, whereby people like Kwame Ture, Sekou Toure, not Kwame Ture, well, Kwame Ture, but Kwame Nkrumah, Sekou Toure, Gamal Abdel Nasser, Jomo Kenyatta, Julius Nyerere, and Kenneth Kaunda, and so many others, including Nelson Mandela, heard the ideological. Then there is the Pan-Africanism of economics, meaning that we're moving our labor, moving our goods, moving our investments across borders. That can include the CARICOM region. Most people are unaware that there are 22 nations in the Western Hemisphere with a majority Black population. But how many of us are engaged with our brothers and sisters in Brazil, which has the largest Black population in the Western Hemisphere, Colombia, in Haiti, across the CARICOM Basin? There are a lot of Black people across Mexico and Central America. So we're going to do a better job. So that Pan-Africanism, meaning cross the borders, and when you cross the borders, find Black people. There are over 77 nations on earth with majority Black population. And although we're not majority Black in this country, we have 52.4 million strong. That's larger than most of the nations on the planet. So we need to start acting like a nation. And then the third definition of Pan-Africanism is the one that I have latched onto, and it's the practicality. Meaning, as a Pan-African, I do media. I do media in America. I do it across America. I do media in Europe. I've been doing media in Europe for a number of years, helping to build other people's radio stations. We project our media and talk a lot about and with our Caribbean partners. But now we've expanded significantly on our African media enterprises. If you look up the African Media Initiative, and one of my dear friends, Brother Meredith Beal, he's kind of the prototype of a Pan-African media developer, and he and I have decided to collaborate on one of our pet national projects. So the third level of Pan-Africanism is invest your money across borders. Build up the African continent. Make it practical. We're talking about building wellness villages. Make the Pan-Africanism practical. I personally have gotten a little bit, I don't want to say annoyed, but a little bit kind of short attention span for ideological Pan-Africanism, because it's far too often only an argument with no resolution to the argument that has a call to action in it. So many people come to me and say, well, you want to do all that in Africa, but the Chinese are just coming in to take it all over. I don't want to hear that anymore. I usually respond to that question, with the question, okay, if you're so convinced you know what the Chinese are doing in Africa, I need you to describe the difference between the Washington consensus and the Beijing consensus. Because if you can explain what those two things mean, why they're so different, and why understanding that negated the statement you made earlier, then I know you know international development economics. Otherwise, and I'm sure we all heard it, too many of our Pan-Africanists are frozen in ideology with no practicality in operation. And so hence, they kind of get upset when you challenge the fact that ideology just ain't enough nowadays. Is that a good answer to your question? It was a great question. I could probably write a book on that.
You know, the thing, I guess the key word was concise, and I find it more difficult to find a good, 3-word or 1-sentence, 2-sentence answer for what Pan-Africanism is. It's such a large, I guess, category, right? So, it is a challenge to find a good short answer to give someone who doesn't know anything about it. But I think you did touch on the key points, and I'll.
Yeah. Well, let me do it one more time. I have this rule around here: 5 words, 7 words, or 15 words.
There you go.
Pan-Africanism is a doctrine that moves resources, goods, talents across borders between people of African heritage. I think that was 15 words.
That's perfect. That is a perfect definition. Sounds good.
All right, my brother. Well, I don't want to hold you up. I'm going to make sure all of our members and anybody that's interested has your information. And is there anything you want to close out with?
I want to inspire. If you can, maybe I can take 2 minutes just to share with you something I've written. It's in the book. I put this in the book, Fade to Black, The Passing of a Great Race. We call this the Alchemist Pledge. And this is a pledge that I make every day. And I'm going to share it. It's just 2 minutes long. The Alchemist Pledge: I swear before Ra, the almighty force of energy. I swear before the great mother goddess, her womb, the source of life. I swear before the mighty forces of nature, the Neteru and Orishas. I swear before the great ancestors, saints, and the martyrs. I swear before the wise and esteemed elders of my global community. I swear before all of the children, the babies, and their mothers. I swear before all of the brave ones whom we trust to carry the spear. I pledge before all of my great family who assemble as one that I am prepared to step up to all of the duties and responsibilities required of me as an alchemist. I am pledged in any and all circumstances to transform that which is dull into that which is brilliant. I am sensitized to every opportunity to confront all challenges and to master over problems that have put all humanity into peril. I will move forward to build steam ships to educate our youth to preeminence through the mastery of all sciences. I will redirect the old enslaving forces of fear and panic into liberating ideologies that forge a new pathway to sustainable development. I will be constant in my creativity, sensitivity, positive alignment, and resourcefulness, all toward forging a new pathway to sustainable development. I am the alchemist. I turn that which is dull into that which is brilliant. I am energized by the sun, purified and given life by the waters, grounded in the pristine earth of my mother continent, and given wings by the breath of life, whose airs project my vision over the horizons. I am the alchemist. I am at once the past, present, and the future. I am that I am.
Ashe. Wow. Well, thank you so much again for blessing us. Man, that was powerful, man. And we just try to have some powerful guests on to enlighten us and bring us some information. Of course, you're bringing us more than enough and including some investment opportunities. It's just a blessing. So we just got to stay in touch with you and stay tuned and just support everything you're doing.
Awesome. And for those who are educators, I put the acronym for STEAM ships. We don't do STEM, we do STEAM ships. I put the acronym up in the message board. This is our curriculum for the next generation of scientific futurists.
Wow. Oh, wow. That's powerful. That is powerful.
All right. And please, please, please make me ship some books this week, or go to Amazon. They got a big collection of the books and they'll ship them as well. These books, they really do work. I still read them myself, and I've probably read it 8 times before I even released it. I still read these books regularly myself because they have the strategic planning in it that we use to transform ourselves as individuals. So now we can not only transform the society around us, but stand as the broad foundation by which the next generation will be ever closer to the stars. Ashe, 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 yo.
I've already picked up 3, Brother Keidi.
I'm sorry, what is that?
I've already got 3.
All right. Hey, you're on a roll, man. Don't let me stop you.
All right.
All right, Brother Keidi. Thank you again. And you'll be hearing from me soon. I'll give you a follow-up. And thank you so much. Peace and blessings.
All right. Guidance and protection.
All righty.
Race first.
All right, Brother President, you want to continue on with our meeting real quick?
Well, I guess at this point, we want to go over some old business. And I think that was the what's on the agenda is the book club, YouTube book club.
Right. Well, I talked to, not to cut you off, I'm sorry. I talked to a powerful sister. I don't know if you guys have followed her, Dr. Oya Ma'at. Powerful sister. She has a powerful platform. She's been around for a while. She does a book club called the Ram Book Club. What she does is, you you can read the book on your own or what have you, and then they'll meet up on her to discuss the book. It's powerful because we can save those recordings and put it to our YouTube. So if you missed it, you can go back and catch on what we talked about. So she's interested in partnering with us on the first book, Philosophies of Marcus Garvey. I don't know if y'all, Philosophies and Opinions, I'm sorry, Marcus Garvey. I think a lot of people can do the audio book as well. Brother Caesar put that information in there. So we're working on trying to get that in because we definitely want to have study groups as far as going over the book club. So if she said she wants to do it, so I just got to follow up and set up a time. But if that doesn't work, we'll definitely do something like that via Zoom or YouTube on another channel so we can share that information. So that was that on that.
Okay, fantastic. So with that, if anybody wants to update on the Juneteenth event, where are we with that?
Well, I think we're still everything's looking good. I think we're still waiting on some permits to go through, and we're looking also now at possibly other avenues of having it at different locations where we can avoid a lot of the permits, but still have the place and be okay to use it. So I think that's our main dilemma now. But
who's spearheading that effort?
Well, it was a group of us, but I took on with the lady president of trying to look for some
okay.
But she's not here. Look for some spots, but she's not here. Is she?
Her name is there, yeah.
I don't see her. Okay, but I know she sent some permits in.
Okay.
I believe, I could be wrong, but I thought she did. And I'm still looking at some other spots and also some rec and parks. Ways that we could do maybe at a rec and park. But I just want to make sure that, you know, it's a spot where we can definitely have the community engaged, and that's so hopefully by Saturday I have some information on a pinpointing where we're going to be with that.
Okay, fantastic. All right. We had new business, race first rally participation and table.
Oh, I guess that's me too. It's a race first rally. I think it was my brother Imhotep. I can't remember the brother. He reached out to me, and what they want us to do is participate as far as having a table to just promote our organization. He may do like a little march, a couple of members if you want to march and gather the organization. I have more details when that event is, and I'll have that Saturday as well. I told him we'd love to set up a table anytime we can participate in a race first event and promote our organization. That's great. So I think that's when we want to kind of just pinpoint some levels of recruiting and about our organization, come up with some stuff like that to pass out.
So that event is the last, I think Saturday or Sunday, is August 28th.
Okay.
Last week in August.
It's in August?
Yeah, 8/28 is the day.
We got time then. Okay.
Yeah, I saw that online this afternoon. So I guess the question is, what's the cost of having a table? Because I know he is taking donations for that event. So, you know, I'm assuming that tables have a cost. So we need to follow up with.
Yeah, because he didn't, my fault to cut you off, Frank. He didn't mention the cost, so I didn't elaborate. I just told him we'd definitely be interested.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, his movement definitely is a good movement, Pan-African Liberation Movement. And I think, yeah, we should be a part of it. It sounds like a great idea. We just need to find out that information. If there's a cost, what time is it? Who's going to man the table, or who's going to, you know, manage the table, and what times do we need to be there?
Okay, yeah. Because I talked to the brother briefly on the phone. And like I said, I said, we'd love to support the movement. And then he just mentioned the table. And he was like, he wants to make sure all of the organizations in the city, a lot of, you know, we're not being known. And he wants to promote all of the Black organizations. So he would like a lot of organizations, Pan-African, to, you know, be a part of it. So he was like, mention the table. I was like, yeah, we could do that. But he didn't go into specifics. But if you know him personally?
I've spoken to him before.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so maybe me and you could just follow up and just see, you know, because I think in any event where we bring people together and we can, you know, have some literature and stuff to pass out for our organization, it's just phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Okay.
With that said, we'd have to get some things created because I don't think at the present time we have any marketing materials.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, guys. So one thing I wanted to talk about, I guess there were some questions that came up in the interim since our last meeting. And, you know, a few members were kind of curious as to, and not just the membership, but other people that are not yet members had some questions as about, you know, what's the vision? You know, what's the vision of our particular division? What do we plan to do? And they really wanted me to articulate some specifics as to, you know, what our plans were for over the next year, 2 years. So I sat down because, you know, as you know, we're a new division. We just got chartered in January. So a lot of that stuff hasn't been fleshed out, but I did come up with some broad strokes I'd like to bring to the family and then and get some feedback on. I was thinking that we would take a three-pronged approach to our activities in the division, and they can be summed up under these three words. The first one is compete. I'd like to see our division definitely get involved in business development and begin competing economically for goods and services, so that we are actually, bringing products and services that to market. What that looks like, I don't know just yet, but I do know that's something that I definitely want us to dive deep into, and to create enterprises that are going to be profit making for not only for our people, but our division and so forth. So that would be the first broad stroke. The second broad stroke that I really want to focus on, as demonstrated by me reaching out to the ACLU, is can be embodied under the word connect. I want the UNI BARCA-CLARKE division to truly reach out to, first and foremost, the other Pan-African organizations that are in Baltimore, in and around Baltimore, but also to reach out to those organizations that, traditional organizations that we all know, the NAACP, the Urban League, and to make them aware that we're here and we're on the ground and looking to do work. And basically that's to build awareness. I think our message is one that will resonate with most of our people. If they just knew we were here. I mean, everybody knows the flag, but everybody doesn't know that the government of the flag still exists. And I think if we do a proactive outreach to these organizations and really, just let them know we're here and what we're about. I think that's something I really want to see happen. And then finally, I'd like to see us start to, to begin to contribute. There are a number of organizations such as, the ceasefire movement, other churches, homeless shelters that I know, where we can, kind of pool some resources and, start working with some of those organizations to see what we can do to help. Not that we have a great deal of money to do so, but at least begin to make the outreach to see what they need, so we can get an understanding of, those folks that are working on the ground to help the least of us, what they're doing, and see what we can do to help, if we can do something to help. So those are basically the three prongs that I have, outlined, and I welcome some feedback, good, bad, and ugly. And with that, I open the floor.
Well, let me say something also, Mr. President, because that was phenomenal. I like your vision. But also, I just want to make sure that you guys know we are still also working on other facets of the organization, like the book club and learning, the Constitution. We're trying to get it together where we can have those type of events, not events, but sessions, without overwhelming everybody. Learning the Garveyism and the orientation. So we are putting implementation in effect, because one of the things we want to just make sure when you go off and you talk to somebody about an organization, which was always introduced to me by President Caesar and Brother Roz, is you got to learn. You got to learn about Garvey. You got to be committed to learning. Because we're new, those process in place. We are actually a group have talked about that, but I just want to stress that we want to make sure that we're learning. So if I pull up a mother and a child off the street, I can tell them, hey, this is what we're learning. So I want to make sure, as the General Secretary, I got to push that out there too, right, along with the pillars. So we are working on that. We are new, but I want to also say that we're trying to do it kind of set a precedent to, be better than what's been done. We want to push forward. And so we're looking for some things to make us, top notch, and then, or take something that's top notch and implement it. So we want to just make sure that you guys know that we are working behind the scenes to make sure we get the right information out to you. I think even on the general, I think Minister Information was on for a minute as well. So, we're getting with him and want to make sure that we get the right information out to you via the parent body. So that's also in effect. So I know you guys have been knowing I've been trying to do some different things, but I just wanted to push that along with being part of the community and our outreach programs. We still got some work as far as learning and teaching. So I just wanted to put that out there.
And let me encourage everybody. We already have the learning platform that has been purchased. What we haven't done, and we even have the lessons from the parent body. The challenge has just been putting the lessons onto the platform so that it's available for everyone. And, obviously that's a bit time consuming, and, we're all
Right.
you know, doing our thing. But the platform's been purchased. The curriculum, we have it. It's just a matter of getting, you know, finding the time to laboriously put it up on the platform for everyone.
Now, was that teachable, Mr. President? What was that platform you got? Because I like
No,
it.
we're using a platform called Thinkific.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah. Which is really great.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
So yeah, so those are in effect, and hopefully in the next coming weeks we'll have everything up and running. We just want to make sure we take our time and have the information, you know, up there correctly and to a point where we can send you guys the information and you can just get it, as opposed to a lot of different things. I see.
Or you could send someone to it.
Right. Exactly.
You know, someone who may you run into somebody, because one of the things that we, you know, we're going to have, or at least for the officers, we're going to have business cards. I don't know if anybody's ever seen the ones we created initially, but you know, one side is the red, black, and green flag, and on the back side, we had a picture of Marcus Garvey, and you know, we can put our information there. So that's a wonderful kind of opener, or just, you know, you just can leave it somewhere or give it to somebody, pass it out. I had gotten about, I think it was 1,000 of them, and I just started passing them out. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we just started passing them out, and that generated a little bit of buzz. But yeah, those are some of the things we're going to be doing, and with the platform there, they can just go to the platform and learn all they can about Garvey. So that's in the works. Those things are in the works.
Vice President had to raise his hand.
Yes, sir. Race first, family. I just want to make sure that everybody is clear that when we say book club, it's really a study group so that we can study our lessons to learn more about the UNIA. It's not just, you know what I mean, like a social event where we just pick a book and go through it. This is actually lessons that need to be, you know what I mean, that we all should sit down and try to go through. I know in one of the previous meetings, we were talking about whether the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey, it is actually on an Audible. Part 1 and 2 is an audio book, and it's available on Amazon and audio. For me, who commutes to work about a half an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, depending on traffic, you know, the audio book is only like about 3-4 hours long. So within a week, you know what I mean, giving it an hour each day, or even a half an hour each day, you know what I mean, you could probably go through like the whole thing. But I think it's very important for us to either sit down, you know what I mean, learn independently and then learn together as a group as to what it is. Because the more knowledge we have about what it is that we're supposed to be doing, it helps us all formulate, you know what I mean, the vision of what it is that we want to put out there and where we want to go. And I think it's very important. I just don't want anybody to be misled when you use the term book club, that, you know what I mean, this is just like a social thing. We just going to be grabbing any old book, you know what I mean? Knowledge is key. And the more we get, you know what I mean, the better we'll be able to to move forward. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, and I apologize for that. I actually talked to you about that the other day. I say book club because I'm in like 2 different book clubs, and we do read, and her platform is kind of a book club platform, but if we use that platform, it'll be just for us. It's a study group. We're going to go over the books that we need to go over, that we agree to.
Can I make one suggestion?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, can I make a suggestion? And this is for like the whole group and Mr. President, not trying to step on anybody's toes, but can I make a suggestion that we, instead of having like a group meeting, you know, every other Monday, we have one, you know what I mean, meeting for like the month, and then make one of those Mondays a day for learning or for lessons, either like the Monday or the Saturday. Instead of having like the meeting, we end up having a, you know what I mean, going over a curriculum. That's just my suggestion. So, because we already have that time scheduled, you know what I mean, we just use it differently.
Right.
We can look into that.
Well,
let's think about it
right now. What does everybody think? What do you think?
I see you, Sister Charlene. Hold up. And I got your calendar too. I'm going to bring it over tonight. Just to let you know, if you see a black man coming, walking to you. I mailed a calendar to myself, man. I don't know how I did that. I was looking and waiting for somebody to say they didn't get it, but I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. And then I got Sister Charlene raising her hand. Go ahead. Anybody got any suggestions on that? Was that what you was raising your hand about, Sister Charlene?
Absolutely.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Just piggyback. That is a good idea. Where we do a study session on that Monday, or it could be like once a month or like twice a month, and do our regular meetings on Saturday.
I like that. I like it. Well, what we can do is everybody can come up with maybe, I mean, I know we got a little bit more to go over, but maybe we can everybody can just think about how they think we should go about the day, or which day is which, and then we can come back at it maybe Saturday because we got a bi-monthly meeting Saturday. We're supposed to have another guest, so community meeting on Zoom Saturday. So maybe we can come up with something that, we could talk about it before then, or email, or whatever the case may be. So let's just put that out there right now. Anybody else got an opinion on that one?
Nope.
All right, Mr. President, back on you.
I got one, man.
Go ahead, Brother Bruce.
Hey, your second one was connect, Brother President.
Yes,
You said connect. I've been asking a couple of people about Marcus Garvey, and everybody. You're right. Everybody knows the flag, but they don't really know anything about it. Everybody's history seems to want to start with Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and everything, and that's where it starts. Just like everybody else's history starts with slavery, and there's a lot more in between. So I think those cards that you got and everything, that might help a little bit to get a little awareness out and everything. The marketing is definitely going to help if we could get some marketing out here, especially out here in Ohio. We got all this craziness out here, so that would help a lot. Because I've been trying to raise awareness and everything, and try to see where the consensus is and everything. So that's a good idea, sir. Just wanted to compliment you on that.
Yeah, I'll make sure. I'll probably have them printed up within the next 30 days, so we have them ready for the spring.
I do. Do we need to pitch in something for it to help out, or what?
Well, I already have a picture of Garvey. We can do a generic. I can do a generic one, but I also want to do the customized ones for the officers. So it'll be two batches. One that will just be, we can just hand out willy-nilly, and then others that the officers of the division will actually have their titles and contact information on. So we'll do two. But yeah, I don't think we need any pictures unless, I got a picture of Garvey on the back.
No, not pictures. I'm saying, do you need somebody to pitch in? I mean, do we need to come up with some funds to aid with the creation of the cards? I mean, how does that work?
I'll put that money out. It's not significant.
Okay.
Money.
All right. It's no problem if whatever we can do to keep it going, man.
So I wanted to comment on what Brother Bruce said and piggyback, because I think marketing is very important. So we definitely want to put something out, but I think a lot of things we do today are digital. So we can use a online platform, maybe boost up the UNIA 106 website, or have something where we can send people, because most people aren't keeping paper these days. They'll look at it. Maybe we can put a QR code on there or something that leads to our website. So we got to think, forward about it. So that's a comment on that. But I also wanted to, another thing about just our division is I wanted to speak on, Brother Bruce mentioned history. So I did some research on Hannibal Barca, which is part of, one of the names we use for this organization. And he was one of the greatest military strategists of all time. So if you look up the Punic Wars, you'll learn a lot about how he conquered from Mali to what is present day Rome, and how he moved his army through through the mountains of the French Alps, all the way from Northern Africa to what is modern day Italy, and controlled all of that region. And not only did he go from there, and this is back, we're talking about in 200, right? The year 200 or something, right? Mm-hmm. And so we go back that far of controlling all of that region. And then from there, you go to the Moorish Empire, so on and so forth. But I think what I wanted to point out is the strategy, okay? Because he was a strategist. And I think we have to sit sometimes and we really have to go over how we're going to implement things and really think about it. The one thing that stood out to me that I remember from reading about it is how he formed his army. So basically he had a small line in front and then a large group of people on the flank or the side. And what they did was the front lines would open up and capture the Romans inside of, so they ended up surrounding them. So even though the Roman army had, doubled the size of what Hannibal, maybe even triple the size of his army, they were able to use a technique that allowed them to win. And so, like my brother Chief Elder, who I love, who's still on this call, he always talks about we don't need guns, we need our spirit. And I think to add to that, our spirit, we need to come up with strategies and plans. So we just have to be very diligent, and if we say we're going to do something, follow up on it and continue our strategies, whatever we plan. A lot of people are saying our division is very powerful. Outsiders who, are joining us today are saying we're very powerful. So I think we just need to keep that momentum and keep it moving and grow.
You know what, Brother Frank, you said something that is important too, our name. All the divisions have names that mean something. So ours is BARCA-CLARKE for John Henry Clark too. So that's something that we also have to put on the promotional materials and let them and teach about that. That's very powerful, our name alone. And that was, I don't know what's going on with Brother Caesar and the war thing. His name Caesar, and he chose Honorable BARCA-CLARKE. So I'm still tripping about that. He's like, I'm a soldier for the cause. So yeah, we need to teach that as well. We need to teach that. It's all important for our image and for teaching and talking about it. And I think, different materials could promote that. And that's good you said about that, because I'm a little old school with that. I've been seeing a lot of things about scanning that code. I think I went somewhere today and I was like, damn, how do I do it? And I had to do with something my taxes, that's what it was. They was asking for a barcode to scan the taxes in, and mine didn't have it. And I was like, they're doing it like this now. And it was just kind of crazy. I don't know. You right.
And let me say this, family. In regards to the website, anybody who has those type of skills, I mean, I did that website, but that's not my area of expertise. So if anybody wants to come in and manage that, update it, and keep it current, add or subtract things as needed, by all means, you can have carte blanche to it, to do what you do if you have those skills and abilities. But I literally don't have the expertise to do it. That little bit that I did with GoDaddy, and that took me 2-3 days. And but I also don't have necessarily the time to continually update it on a regular basis. But it's there. It's paid for. It'll continue to be paid for. And if anybody wants to come in and administer it, they're more than welcome to do so.
Okay, that sounds great. I gotta get with you to get those lessons. We gotta figure that out too until we get the thing that you want up. Or you want me to wait? We can wait.
Well, I got the lessons that Second PG Duque sent.
Right.
So I have all those. Like I said, we just got to get it up on the platform.
Okay.
And and the platform, once again, if somebody wants to assist with that, I'm happy to make you an instructor on that platform, and you kind of make it happen.
Okay. I get what you want, because I just want to I want to learn about it anyway. So I dib and dab with it. So I get the access for that, so we can just mess around with it. Go ahead, Brother Bruce.
Here lately, I'm in the trucking industry. I've been trucking for like 20 years, right? And I've been all the way to the East Coast, the West Coast. I drove refrigerated trailers. I messed around a little bit with flatbeds, and I thought about starting my own trucking company at one time, but here lately I've been looking at some ships. Honestly, the ships that I could crowdfund or have a group of people crowdfund a cargo ship or something, because that is where the money is. That's where everything comes in, is going to be coming off of the ship and coming inland somewhere. And I know the trucking industry itself. I had my own truck at one time. I know the trucking industry, but a ship, if you could get a group of people and people just started throwing money in to buy a ship, a cargo ship, you could ship stuff from here, from the East Coast, all the way to Gambia, all the way to Ghana, and pretty much cut out the white man, cut out the Asian man, cut out every other man, whoever wants to get a cut in there. Because right now, I seen over in different parts of Africa, they need tractors. I seen one tractor. I searched all over the internet. I seen one tractor here. I seen maybe one cement mixer here and there. You got people doing stuff primitive, and all you would need is somebody to ship this stuff over to them, and they could do stuff more efficiently. But they don't have the means to get it because they don't have the money to purchase it here, which we got John Deere that's here. And we got, what else we got? We got Caterpillar. They don't have that type of money to purchase it. But if you had a ship or something that you could transfer goods over there, you could bring that Caterpillar or bring that John Deere over there and start doing more, you know? So I was looking at maybe trying to do a crowdfunding or something like that. Or, I mean, this is just a part of what I was thinking about as far as starting a corporation to get those little things done. But because the United States tax code works really good for corporations, but it doesn't work good for the individual. So I figured if you could get a corporation started, you could work good for a group of people versus trying to be a little small company trying to do something, which is you working against giants with these little small companies, you know? So I'm just bringing that up, man, because, you know, that's something I've been looking into. And like at the end of the year, I plan on going to Africa. And after I get back, I'll have a little bit more credibility with the brothers around here, because they don't really want to hear much of what I have to say. Because the first words out of my mouth, have you been to Africa? Where did you go? What did you do? And this and that. So I have to be able to get some street cred by getting over there, because that's just how it works. You know, nobody's going to believe anything you say unless you do something about it, right? So I just thought I'd bring that up, and hopefully it's an idea. Maybe somebody will pick up on it and help me run with it a little bit.
Well, Brother Bruce, I like what you're saying. Once again, that falls under the broad stroke of compete. You know, creating enterprises to begin to compete globally. I guess our next step along these three lines would be, I'd like to put somebody in charge. I guess that's not the word I want to use, but somebody to oversee that particular division of where we're trying to go. If you understand what I'm saying. So I know we've talked a lot about business development, but who's going to sit down and, you know, gather people together outside of these meetings and then, you know, create the business plan, do the marketing plan, do the research, that sort of thing, and then bring those ideas and an implementation plan to make it happen to the group so that we can then, you know, follow suit and present that to our folks. So I'd like to have, you know, what I'd like to see is, you know, because obviously I'll be working with each one of these people as we do. So maybe, and this is just an example. First president, our vice president maybe says, okay, I think I want to be involved in the enterprise thing. So he and I get together, he and I, brother, you know, the leadership will get together, and then we'll begin to, you know, to strategize as we talked about, and to actually put some things on paper and to begin to do that, the sort of steps that actually make things come into creation. Same thing with the other piece. I mean, maybe if, you know, for instance, with the contribute, maybe the lady vice president could say, okay, yeah, I'll look at, the various organizations. So I'm looking to, what I really need is, to find out who wants to do what in order to move forward with implementation of this vision. So feel free to call me. I think everybody has my number, correct? Does everybody have my number? No?
No, I don't have your number.
All right, let me put it in here.
And I'll make
Yeah,
sure we email that out. I gotta hey, you know what? I think I only sent it to brother
Yeah, feel free
Frank.
to call me.
I'm gonna send out everybody the member list so we can all have everybody's contact information. I just sent it to one person though.
Okay. And this is my email. And actually, we have the website, the domain. We could actually do our own BARCA-CLARKE emails. So if ever, we could get off of that as well. Okay, so that's my email address. And that's my phone number. So, if any of this, anybody wants to be involved with this and to talk a little bit further about it, absolutely, do not hesitate to give me a call. And we'll see where it goes.
I have a template that I use called the one-page business plan.
Mhm.
And it includes the SWOT analysis, which if people don't know, that's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And during quarantine, I actually started and did a business plan with my son with that template. And I typically use that if I have an idea of something I want to start. Because it's short, it's not a full business plan. You don't have to sit there, because once you do that analysis, you can see, all right, this is a good idea or this is not a good idea, right? Or whether or not I should move forward. So I think I'll share that with the group for anybody who wants, especially Brother Bruce, because he has a lot of ideas. By the way, I watched your video that you put together, and I definitely want to follow up with you on that. Because the thing about it is ideas are great, but we got to make them into plans and goals, right? So and that happens when we start working together and bouncing ideas off of each other. So we don't have to wait till next week. We can get together offline, and I'm always willing to meet with anybody about any business venture. My goal is economic development, or organizational development, whatever the case may be. And we can, I'm looking at the website as well right now. It looks good. Doesn't really need a whole lot. It just needs kind of more content to be put in there. So that we got all the framework for UNIA stuff. For business things, I think it's just a matter of putting the ideas on paper so everybody can see it. And then we can just keep pushing it. It takes time. So we got to be patient. We got to come up with the plans and just put the work in. So I think we're on the right track.
So with that said, I guess we want to have an enterprise committee. Do we want to establish something like that?
Yeah, I think we should. If we're focused on competing and starting businesses, definitely.
Would anybody, Brother Frank, are you interested in heading that committee?
I mean, I'll definitely be a part of it. And then, to start out, I'll head it up.
Going to need a head, somebody who will, do the work to bring everybody together and then, kind of move the committee through its various processes.
Okay.
That might be good too, since he's like the liaison for the ACLU. That might be a good thing.
Yeah, and they never got back with me. I might need a different contact for them.
Sergio never called you back?
I don't have his number. I just had an email. He didn't respond.
Okay, I'll rectify that tonight.
Okay.
You'll probably hear from him tomorrow.
Cool.
Yeah. So.
Last thing, Mr. President, the HEC event. Maybe nobody wants to come, but I missed the email last week. I'm late. I just responded. I missed the meeting last week, but they want to know if anybody would like to attend. They just need to know a list I got to send them. Right now, I'm the only one registered. I just registered to register. I don't know if I'll be able to participate, but our organization is taken care of. So if they are interested, but you probably could explain what it is to them real quick. Maybe they're not.
High Executive Council meeting.
Yeah, that's the one, the first one where they're going to go over the people can vote on changes and stuff.
Yeah. How many people did we pay for to go?
We paid for the organization to be represented, but each member, I believe, is like if they want to join, if they want to attend, it's like $10.50 or something. I think it's like a weekend thing via Zoom.
Attending?
I don't think they really know what it is. We never really got into that.
Well, I'm gonna be very honest with you. As secretary, you got that information before I did. So.
Oh, well, I can talk about it, but
yeah, by all means. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the High Executive Council meeting, that's they have two of them. One is the elections, which will be coming up. I believe that's in August. But usually you go there and meet. Because of the pandemic, they're doing this via Zoom. Just both Chicago divisions are hosting it, where you can come and if you're a paying dues member now, that's only paying dues members, you can come and you can make suggestions on changes to any of the rules or laws or what have you. And then when they go through to the next meeting, they'll vote on those changes, and they'll also vote on the parent body. I don't know if you do nominations or not, but if you're just interested in seeing how that goes and how it plays out, it's like a nice event where they have, promote businesses and stuff like that as well. I believe they're doing. I'll make sure I get the flyer out to everybody tonight. And I believe it is the end of March, something. So maybe if you're busy and not interested, I just went on ahead and signed up. So if I could jump on in and out and just, learn as much as I can while I'm here on earth, I just want to be as active as possible. So, but I can definitely get that information out to everybody tonight if they want to think about it. Just let me know if you're interested, and I can direct you to how to pay. And if you want to do that, to get more involved into the hierarchy of the UNIA.
Why don't we just leave that for the Saturday meeting, and folks can tell us if they want to attend, and then we'll obviously pay for it and they can go.
That sounds good. I'll put that, I'll send out the information and we could talk about it Saturday. That sounds great.
Okay, great. I think we are nearing the end. Look at my agenda here. Yep, that's it. Any open discussion or member share? If we're pretty good for the evening, I'd like our chief elders to take us out. I think you got to unmute him, Everett.
You good?
Okay.
I see. Brother Edward, you want to get with me later on the cell phone, or did you have something directly you wanted to ask me about that you wanted to share?
I'll get with you. I'll talk to you later. Yes, I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Well, with that given to say, Hotep and blessings, sending out positive energy for healing, spiritual growth, and protection around the world and to this panel. We say Ashe, Ashe, Asheo.
Ashe.
Yo.
All right, everybody. Peace and blessings.
All right. Race first, everyone. I'll see you guys on Saturday.
You got it.
Race first.
Race first.
Peace out.
Peace.
Peace.